All right, so hello there. My name is Kyle, and I'm about to show you two slides about myself, so I'm not going to do too much else other than point to this. This is who I am currently. Here's some random images and things that I am over on the left side. This is basically verbatim from the previous, not social engineering, from Imaginary IT, so it's a very easy bio side to create. But that's not the important one. The important one is this one. This is Who Was I? Really revolutionizing the intro slide game, because this is a picture of me as a 13-year-old. Right here, this guy is probably in the middle of some very intense YouTube video watching, and he's also using a jailbreak tweak on his phone to make the icons do the Harlem Shake. 2016. He's very on time to that trend. So I was definitely not somebody who always knew that he'd be doing cybersecurity. All the pieces kind of just fell into place as they went on. It certainly wasn't something that I was obsessed with at all hours. I know that some people have just described some cases like that, and that wasn't me at that time. Now, tell that kid about the public app store ruling that Chase K talked about 20 minutes ago. I think he would be very happy. Which begs the question, how did I get to the point where I was doing, frankly, too much with my devices? I never did unsafe things, but I should not have had two jailbroken iOS devices and a homebrewed 3DS before I was in high school. I don't know how I got there, but I want to know how other people might get there in the future, because that's going to look a lot different than it did when this all happened. So this is not in any way official. This is not a real framework put in anything else besides this presentation. This is just kind of how I envision the process of getting interested in this stuff if you're not in class, if you're not actively doing things in the industry. So this is how you go from kid who just looked up how to do something cool to an active user of some particular software. Maybe this can be how you start using Linux. Maybe it's how you can build a home lab. Again, I've been preempted by two presentations that basically queue me up, so I very much appreciate that. Either way, I think this is kind of how that process will go. So you'll start with some sort of demand. So me at that time wanted to play Smash Brothers on his iPad because I couldn't yet. So you'll run into technical or access barrier as a little kid and really want to overcome it. You'll want to participate in something that normally is platform or condition specific and want to feel included in the community. And that's going to drive you to want to search for particular tools that might exist out there, but you never got to. So you run into paywalled pieces of content or ads or websites breaking. So you look for some solutions that are out there at the time, some easy to use, some GUI based, small tools and niches, the stuff that just works that you could probably teach your grandma to use if you want. So this is where like YouTube apps that block all the ads, those kind of things are things that you would look up at that age and really feel cool using. And that's where a lot of people stop. But if you really like that stuff, and there are tutorials out there and safe, updated pipelines that get you into more extensive experimentation in those areas, then there are definitely going to be some people who take advantage and go all the way to discover some really cool things. And this is where I kind of ended up looking, at side-loaded app stores and Cydia. I mean, there's a lot of things that fall into this category that we use pretty much every day, but would be very novel to a kid just on his iPad trying this stuff out. So I think that having a way to get to here is decently important for all the tech education terms and purposes. And hopefully from there, they can understand. So when I'm using all that stuff and I'm seeing it say kernel, I'm seeing it say Springboard is restarting and things like that, those aren't things that I know what that means at that age, but it's an interesting way to start me getting into the thought process that eventually led me to stand here years and years later. Not directly. It's never a straight line process. But here is the problem, and I wish I didn't do this so last minute, because otherwise this would be a lot less of a text wall of a slide. My apologies for that. But basically what this is saying is there are a lot of people I can kind of sense have an idea that this really isn't a thing anymore, that because of us moving towards very small pieces of locked down software and a lot of the regular things we use on a daily basis, that this kind of thing can't happen anymore. I mean, I don't know how many YouTube shorts I've had come up on my timeline that tell me kids these days don't know what ad blockers are, can't use controllers, think everything is a touch screen, don't know how to pirate anything, they just pay for it. And it's I don't know how true that kind of is, but there are a lot of people who think that tech literacy is on a downturn because of how streamlined everything is. If that were to be true, and devices were to be that locked down, that people would be so anxious to do something that a company thinks is wrong, and if the tools that exist weren't really used and updated because of that, then we would have some very big problems. Hello, Matt's waving in the door. We would have some very big problems that would lead to not a lot of progress and kind of a stunting of people joining the industry and becoming as enthusiastic as everyone in this room is, which would not be fun. Except, here's the thing. I think that that's not completely what's happening for a lot of different reasons. There are plenty of active communities of people who, even within the lines, are still being very creative, even to the point where a company can basically build itself on kids' labor and do very well. I don't mean to throw too many shots at Roblox here, but I think the existence of it kind of proves that their kids can definitely get very creative within the lines, and they are discovering how to do this stuff too, even if it's by breaking the rules. 90% somebody in here started doing this stuff by like looking up website unblocked in 9th grade or something like that. I'm seeing nods. I'm seeing thank you for continuing the audience participation. I'm seeing nods. And there is definitely still curiosity about the subject. I mean, we watched Caden talk about flipper zeros a few weeks ago and how many people were interested in them. So even at each level, there is still a lot of interest. And there are still a lot of solutions. Like, there are people who want these to go away, want this to be where the buck stops, but whenever that happens, the backlash to it makes a lot of people aware that stuff exists. I mean, I don't know if there's people who didn't know what an ad blocker was until they got axed by YouTube a couple weeks ago, which was in a previous news presentation. So there are a lot of people who saw that and said, wait, I can block ads? And then learned about that stuff from there. So I don't think that that's really valid either. And to say that everything's so centralized like I just did, it's not like all of those social medias, Twitter, Snapchat, any other social media that's going through I can't swear in here, but there's a specific word that's describing social medias that get progressively worse and worse, that gets used a lot. It's not like that's happening, right? Yeah, no, it kind of is. So we're as far as educating people on cybersecurity, we're going to have to do it in a lot of different ways than we were, because we're not going to be in a world where things can go viral anymore. We're going to be in a lot of small communities, not unlike this one, and we're going to have to find ways to teach a lot of young people about these concepts in new and inventive ways, because this is taking a while. Okay, what's here are different standards that currently exist to teach young kids cybersecurity. A lot of them are very rote. They're like things that you have to do after your standardized tests, like a drill, which is not always the best way to do things. I mean, I do like going from talking about a surprise party on a public bulletin board to keeping your information private. That's, I guess, clever, but most of it, yes. Yeah, the left side is kind of a cyber.org K-8. The right side is New York State. So this is what the state uses. There's like a 12-page doc of this and like other computer literacy kind of standards, but this is what they're supposed to use. I don't know how much it actually gets used because, trying to have a kindergarten teacher add something else to their workload is very hard. But I think the shelf life of especially the ones on the left, where it's very focused on, we assume kids are online gamers and we're going to teach them based on that, I think that's going to have to shift a little bit from that assumption. So how do you do that? Have these been going that slow the whole time? I'm sorry. How do you cater cybersecurity to a small, engaged group of enthusiasts, hungry for something to engage with? I shouldn't have done a transition there. Look around. This is kind of that. So we need to figure out how to translate this to a younger demographic. That doesn't mean directly. I mean, that doesn't... Hurry up. Get to the punchline. There you go. It's covered up by the captions. He's saying, oh, cool, CTFs, and he's looking at a video of Roblox capture the flag. I wish the caption was not there so the punchline would work better. But that doesn't mean that what we're doing can just translate directly to a younger environment. It means that we need tools that allow kids to have that same creativity that I was talking about earlier and use it in this industry. Now, it may have sounded like the last 10 minutes were an elevator pitch for Scratch, which kind of, maybe. This is an actual Google search that says Scratch, but for adults. I think you're looking for coding. I'm not sure. But that Scratch website let a lot of people realize how much they liked putting a bunch of instructions together into a final project that they could share with their parents at a time where code was a lot less open for people to sift through. So I'm hoping that at some point the same kind of thing can happen in this field. A bunch of templates for little types of skills that we have that can allow for bit-sized games. If anybody has the 380 class, we have the DWVA and the BLAP where there's kind of easy, medium, and hard. So if you could use that kind of system to let kids try little concepts and little easy, medium, hard levels, then I think you could definitely let them be creative with it from there and make it like niche to their, fandoms and all that fun stuff. And also, I think that there's a little bit of an unexplored pipeline between ARG communities and doing Capture the Flag. I think that there's definitely ways that as people who are trying to bring this industry to more people, that we could kind of bridge that a little bit and make things that work in the in-between of that. I do, by the way, know somebody who's involved in that top one. So that's not the one who was looking in the door, but somebody who associates with both of those people. So I don't think the gap is very far between little ARGs where you scan codes and find a hidden frame to steganography and crypto challenges. I think you could do something in between there that teaches a lot of people very well. Would anybody like to know more? I don't think they do. I appreciate your time. Thank you.